Brace yourselves. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to 5 Minute Film School. The last couple weeks we have been looking at the history of special effects in cinema. This video is part 3 of the 4-part series, so let's get on with it. So the 1980s and 90s were the decades of practical effects. Special effects titans such as Stan Winston and Rick Baker created some of the most memorable movie monsters of all time, with the likes of Alien, Jurassic Park, Men in Black, and Terminator. These two special effects creators were and are the two most famous in the business, and rightfully so. These guys pushed the boundaries of movie makeup and puppetry, creating some of the most realistic props and effects that the industry had to offer. CGI wasn't quite yet developed, but it was very close to being discovered. Movies like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids utilized the green screen to make it look like characters were riding honeybees or gigantic ants. The sets were all practically built in full scale, making the kids look like they were tiny. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a fun and wildly entertaining special effects extravaganza. Another standout movie was John Carpenter's The Thing, which used little to none computer-generated effects. The film showcased all practical and mechanical puppetry from The Thing creations, and even though the effects looked a little silly today, they still look and feel really real. Ghostbusters was another film that started to tinker with computer-generated effects for the ghosts, but again, a lot of what you see on screen was practically made. The 1980s saw the rise and creation of computers, the most notable being Apple Macintosh, invented by Steve Jobs. And although the Mac was deemed a failure in hindsight to Microsoft, Steve Jobs' innovation and willpower led to the development of computer-animated technology. A small computer-animated group funded by Lucasfilm and Apple's Steve Jobs started something that would change the animation world forever. An animator and storyteller named John Lasseter, who worked for Disney at the time, helped form Pixar Animation Studios, an animation department owned by Disney. Lasseter and Company, using a computer program called RenderMan, created the first fully computer-generated animated feature called Toy Story. Toy Story revolutionized animation and kicked off the computer animation renaissance. Toy Story was not only a commercial and financial success for Pixar, but it led to the creation of dozens and dozens of more films, the latest being Inside Out and The Good Dinosaur. After the success of Toy Story and the critical reception, other studios followed suit and started their own computer animated features. Some have been hits or misses over the years, but none have been able to match the deep emotional core that Pixar offers its audience. Movies like WALL-E show that a deep emotional storytelling can be told for adult audiences, which are also kid-friendly. This is why their films are so incredibly popular with both children and adults. And even though Pixar has had a ton of success, it's the Toy Story franchise that is its hook and anchor, the heart and soul of the company. Then from the mid to late 90s, computer-generated imagery had been created and utilized in a lot of different films. In Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park, he not only used life-size dinosaurs, but he also took advantage of CGI in creating some of the dino creatures. The 90s is always a fun decade to look at because a lot of the CGI wasn't really fully developed yet, not as it is now, so a lot of movies that you watch today that are from the 90s look really bad and kind of cheesy. Like this film, for instance, Mortal Kombat.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Holy cow, that looks terrible, but it's still badass. It wasn't until 1999 when CGI started to look really good. A perfect example of this is The Matrix. The Matrix used a special effect technique that hundreds of movies have tried to emulate since its release. The Matrix did something coined bullet time. Bullet time is essentially a room full of green screen walls with snapshot cameras set up in a circle around the room. The actors would be suspended by wires in an action pose, and while they are posing, each camera would take a snapshot, creating a circular motion movement, all while the actors are essentially in a paused action phase. When each snapshot of the film was spliced together, it looked like the camera was moving all around a paused image. Bullet time wasn't only a popular thing, but it became a piece of pop culture. Each film shortly after tried to emulate the effects of The Matrix, and as the movies went on, the effects became better and better. And when the new millennia came with the 2000s, special effects soared to new, unimaginable heights for the film industry, pushing the limits and becoming more realistic as the years went on. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, click the thumbs up button right here. Also make sure to subscribe to this channel and follow us at filmschoolhooligans.com. We will see you next week for the final installment of the special effects in movies. See you next time.